Okay, it's 7 o'clock, so we will get started tonight. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Mary Pat O'Neill, and I'm an independent college counselor in the Redmond area. I volunteer my services with the Lake Washington Schools Foundation and created the Find Your Fit program. And tonight I'm very excited, one, because I don't have to do as much talking as I normally do, but also I'm here to I'm here with Casey Melnick, who is a director of outreach. Casey, do I have that right?
Yeah. Yep.
With Lake Washington Institute of Technology, and I'm excited about this. It's slightly different than what I normally talk about. We get a lot of feedback from parents and students about alternatives to the traditional four-year path. And this is an excellent alternative. I love the Lake Washington Institute of Technology. I've been a fan for years. I've worked with students who have gone there and really benefited and enjoyed the process. In today's world, with college costs skyrocketing, not everybody wants a traditional four-year college program. There's lots of reasons to investigate something that I consider a gem in our community. So I'm going to turn it over. I'll ask Casey questions as we go, but if you have questions, please put them either in the chat or the question box, and I will ask your questions as we go along and just have a good conversation tonight. So Casey, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you. So my name is Casey Melnick. I'm super excited to be here. I'm with Lake Washington Institute of Technology. I've been with the college for about 9 years. And about 6 months ago, I stepped into a new role, which is Director of Outreach, Recruitment, and Intake. So my team and I are responsible for everything up to the point that a student meets with their advisor to register for classes. So that is everything outreach and recruitment to meeting with an admissions coach, math and English assessments, or anything getting started on that front. And then finally, a new student orientation to help students get acclimated to college processes, navigating our systems. Really the overwhelming parts about college, right, is even just figuring out how to get started.
Hey, Casey, do you want to tell people where you're located at? It's very
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Families.
Thank you. Yeah, so we are your neighbor right here in Lake Washington school districts. We are in Totem Lake, just up the hill on 132nd from the Totem Lake Mall, right there in between Totem Lake and Kirkland proper. So really close. It takes us all of about 3 minutes to get to Lake Washington High School. Juanita's just around the corner, so we work very closely with all of the schools in the district. I will say that I really enjoy these Find Your Fit style programs. Previous to LW Tech, I worked for one of the large universities doing very similar work in the state. It's my alma mater. I love that experience, and both my brothers are alumni of LW Tech. So I have personally seen how the different settings and the different types of education work well for different people, up to and including my own twin brother. So I loved my style of education. He really thrived in our smaller, more hands-on classes. So we're going to talk about all of those things today. We will go ahead and kind of get started. And I think it's a little bit better, a little bit easier for people to see what we're talking about before we get into some things. So we're going to talk about a lot, but first, please bear with me. I love this video.
He's embarrassed by his video, but it's great.
I really hate watching myself. So please enjoy.
There you go.
Hi, did you know that Lake Washington Institute of Technology is the only public institute of technology in the state? Well, now you do. Centrally located in Kirkland, Washington, LW Tech is here to help you reach your goals, regardless of what you want to learn. We offer more than 40 hands-on, industry-driven programs where you'll learn to solve complex problems. Not like this. This thing's impossible. What does all that mean anyway?
That means at LW Tech, we learn by doing, in programs such as welding,
computer security and network technology. This goes, okay.
A fully licensed dental hygiene program that's open to the public. Yes, it sure is. Ready?
Oh, I'm born ready. Culinary arts or baking arts. Ooh, donut. Give me, fun. Auto body technician. Hey, can somebody get that door, please? Thank you. Machining technology. Is this my shirt? You bet it is. Nursing? Hey, can we talk about this?
Digital gaming and interactive media, where students can build and play their own games.
Oh, come on! And small classes of 25 or fewer students, where you're gonna know your professors and your classmates.
Oh, me.
Anybody else?
Whatever you're studying, there are tons of resources on campus to help you succeed, including personalized advising to help keep you on track towards your academic goals, from your first day on campus to graduation and beyond.
Here's your plan.
Ooh, that's a good plan. Free tutoring. So you're telling me this is math?
Uh-huh.
What happened to all the numbers? Financial aid, including grants and scholarships.
Here's all the aid you qualify for.
Sweet. Because that's the kind of community LW Tech is. You might even meet the college president. This is Amy.
Hi, I'm Amy.
Hi, Amy.
Hi, Casey.
At LW Tech, you can prepare for today's careers and tomorrow's opportunities right now. So what are you waiting for? Connect with an admissions coach today. We'll see you soon.
See, that wasn't too bad, Casey. It was
No,
great.
and I think my job is done. So
No, it's not. Keep going.
everybody's free to go. I love what we do. I love our classrooms. I think that helps highlight, kind of that non-traditional, really workforce-focused college.
Hi. Did you know that?
It's not
Nope.
liking my next button.
Only once.
Just a
There
second
we go.
here. All right. So we're able to do a lot of that really hands-on workforce-focused learning in a couple different ways. Everything that we do is based off of applied learning. So a technical college, by definition, we are still part of the community and technical college system. So we're sister college with Cascadia or Bellevue or Everett or Edmonds. We get the same type of approval. We have the same outcomes. The difference is any of our programs, we have to prove a working outcome, right? So we have to be able to prove with a associate's in welding, you can get this kind of job. With a bachelor's of digital gaming, you can get that kind of job. So it's a little bit different, even how we go about getting those things approved. I just mentioned bachelor degrees. Typically, community colleges have really been thought of as short-term certificates and two-year associates. That has really changed. We have 12 four-year options now available for students. That's the second most in the states after Bellevue. They're only one ahead of us, and they are a significantly larger community college. This is something that's really changing nationwide. I actually just learned last week, we had some of our faculty at a national conference. Only about half of the states in the US have bachelor degrees at their community colleges, and about 80% of those that do have 3 or fewer programs within the whole state. So it really is pretty uncommon. So the state of Washington is hands down, unarguably, the leader in having bachelor options at the community college level. So it's a scenario where students who maybe are looking for that different type of setting, who are looking for that opportunity to I've heard the term stay close and go far, right? Where you're able to go find whatever level of education that is. So we'll talk about a couple more of those later. Last part of that is a lot of college happens outside the classroom. So at LW Tech, we really believe in a community of belonging. We're going to talk a little bit about class size. We're going to talk about how that can really help and benefit a student within the classroom, with networking, with getting the help that they need within class. And we really believe that that's true as a community at large. Class and college happen inside the classroom and out. All of that really helps us towards our mission, which is to prepare students for today's careers and tomorrow's opportunities. I said earlier that my twin brother went through one of the programs at LW Tech. I think he said it perfect almost 10 years ago. He said, LW Tech is the school for people who learn by doing, right? So our job is to make sure that we are training you for the job you want and to grow into those leadership roles, into those management roles, into being the next entrepreneur, being the next innovator within your industry. And a lot of that starts and ends with being active in your education and with what you are trying to learn. So we do this in a really broad range of programs. We have 7 different schools at LW Tech, whether that's business or education, IT, and then we've got multiple programs within those. So we're going to take a look at what some of those are. We're not going to go through them individually. I just want you to have an idea of, a technical college is much more than welding and automotive, which I think is still an idea that some people have. As an institute of technology, I hear a lot. People think we are only IT and software development and computer security, right? Really all it is what are the skills and the actual technical knowledge you need to get a job in the field that you're interested in. That's really what trade schools and technical schools are all about. Seattle Times voted us this year one of the best in the Pacific Northwest as far as trade and technical schools, and that's something that we're really proud of. Students can go to school for business. My younger brother studied accounting. That is not how my brain works at all, and his brain works in puzzles, so it works really well for him. School of Design, things like architecture, baking, digital gaming, brand new program in illustration. School of Education, things like early childhood education, a new para-educator program, engineering and manufacturing. We're going to talk a little bit about engineering transfers later, and more options like electronics, mechanical design, machining. Health sciences is our largest program, or largest school of 12 programs, things like nursing. Funeral service education, there's only 55 funeral service programs. Oh, I'm sorry, things are jumping on me here. There's only 55 funeral service education programs in the country. We have one of them. Other hands-on programs like a dental clinic. You can see a photo there. That's your classroom where our students are actually working with patients. So when I say things are hands-on, they are exceptionally hands-on. Last time I was actually at the dentist, I was wearing this exact jacket and laid back, and turns out the dental hygienist was one of our alumni. So he's sitting there asking me all these questions about, oh, how are things at the school and how's it going? And is so-and-so still there? And of course, his hands are in my mouth, so I can't answer anything. But it was just really, really cool to actually see people out in the world doing exactly what they went to school for.
Yeah, every hygienist, I visit the dentist quite a bit. I have a lot of dentists I go to, and they all are graduates of Lake Washington Tech, and they all make a lot of money, I'll tell you that.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Yep. Our School of IT, so Institute of Technology, right in line with what people think. 3 major programs. All of these have both 2-year and 4-year options. We're going to talk about a couple of those here in a minute. Sorry, guys, something keeps jumping here. Computer science, computer security, software development. And then our last school, auto transportation technology, auto body, auto repair, and diesel and heavy equipment. So like I said, we have a ton of programs. You can see, we talked a little bit about where we are. You can see the map right there in Kirkland. So 12 bachelor degrees. We have 41 areas of study, more than 80 short certificates, 9 direct transfer agreements, and an IBEST program, which is an integrated model where you can have classes that are coupled together. So you have a welding class and a math class that is meant to be integrated into welding. So all of the conversations and all the things that you're learning are related to welding specifically. So it contextualizes that information. So we've got about 15 different IBEST programs across multiple different programs. If any of you are like me, when you're sitting there doing math, right? I have a great respect for math. I just don't do it. And I found it much easier when I understood what we were doing and why we were doing it. So our students tend to be much more engaged. There are 2 instructors in both classrooms, both the technical instructor and the academic instructor. They work together as a teaching team to help make sure that it's all connected, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of students who really struggle with the theoretical part because it doesn't, why am I learning this formula versus when it's applied to something like they're doing, it makes a lot of sense. So one of the buzzwords that I've, excuse me, that I've been hearing the last year or two is the term stackable education. Um, and, again, there's a lot of talk about, do people really need a 4-year degree and things like that. So this looks like a type of situation where stackable education might be appropriate. Do you want to, so could somebody start with a certificate and then decide to go on and get the associates and then maybe go on from there? Or
Yeah, it's a really good question. And the short version is yes. The long version is that's exactly how we built these programs. So the history of technical colleges were one, to send people straight to work, and two, to send people back to work. They were really born in retraining programs. So people who have been laid off, trying to get them either skill upgrades or new skills to re-enter the workforce. That's changed a little bit, and that heart is still there. So whether it's somebody straight out of high school who just, says, hey, I want to become a mechanical designer. I already have some experience. I've been working. I have several classes in the high school. I got an internship at Boeing, and I just need a short certificate, right? Some people can do that. They can decide, hey, I'm really having a really good time, and that internship at Boeing told me that if I get the associate's degree, they're going to pay for everything, and I'll start at a higher pay rate. I'm just going to keep going. We have people who maybe they have been a mechanical design technician for a long time, and they decide, hey, I want to come back and I want to get a bachelor's degree in entrepreneurship and open my own consulting business, right? So people are able to stack not only within their program, but also in slightly different directions. So people can go as far into their education as they want, or as short and as quickly as they can to get to that job that they're interested in. Before I started at LW Tech, Mary Pat, to one of your points is I would have said absolutely, especially in the Seattle area and the Pacific Northwest, it is so competitive. You 100% need a bachelor degree. I'm actually not convinced that that's true. And I don't know if that makes me a good college recruiter or not. But I do believe that somebody needs a tangible skill set and proof of that skill set. Some of those programs, it does require a bachelor's degree just to build up that portfolio, right? I think a lot of things in the creative fields, I think a lot of things in the IT fields, it just takes a while to build that knowledge base and to be competitive. I think there's other things where you can make a very good living wage on a 2-year degree. So if anybody has driven through Totem Lake, you'll know the Ford dealerships right there and the Nissan dealerships right there. And there's a lot of different dealerships, right? Some of those master technicians who have been working as mechanics and techs for 20, 25 years, they are very, very, very well into the 6 figures. So our students on a 2-year degree in automotive repair could go get one of those kind of jobs and over time build up to the point where they're making a significant living on a 2-year degree. So again, I think the degree can help open a lot of those doors. I think that it is proof of your knowledge and proof of your skill set. I tell a lot of students that YouTube University is a very powerful tool, right? Mm-hmm. And you can't put it on a resume, unfortunately, or not, So I think that there's a lot of different ways to reach a student's end goal. And it's really about being intentional. I really encourage you to connect with, with folks like Mary Pat or with myself, with your university recruiters, and really figure out what is going to be the best fit for your end goal.
Thanks, Casey.
So I think that was a perfect transition, and we're going to pretend like we did it on purpose, right? So we do have those bachelor degrees. And they really kind of vary in different areas. So you can see things like dental hygiene, which we've talked about a little bit, business programs like entrepreneurship and human resources. You'll see digital gaming in there, computing and software development. Public health is one of the coolest programs that I think we have on campus. Can't really call it a point of pride, but just a fact. LW Tech was the very first institution in the country affected by COVID. Our
yeah.
students were at the healthcare facility where the very first outbreak was. Two of our professors in public health actually have their PhDs in virology. So infectious disease and studying global pandemics and outbreaks was actually what they did prior to teaching at the college. So we actually had people on staff as faculty to help respond to that. And all of that was major public health. So it was just really interesting to watch that unfold, where our faculty got to bring their previous skill set into something that really nobody expected. And we have students going into that line of work now because of our bachelor's degree. One thing that I'm so excited for is we have a brand new bachelor's of science in computer science. So that differs a little bit. Most bachelor degrees at technical colleges or community colleges in the state are BAS degrees, so Bachelors of Applied Science. Just like our associate degrees, anything that is a applied degree is built to have a direct workforce outcome. All right. Bachelors of Science can go directly to work. They are also built to have that more academic lens on it, right? For people to transfer to master's degrees, for people to continue on to that next level. So we're one of, it's either 6 or 7 community colleges in the state that were able to launch that this year. We're super excited for it. I really believe that this is just the beginning of a new trend at the community colleges in the state. So definitely something to keep an eye on, just to see kind of how this continues to evolve and allows for more accessibility and equity within education, even at the local level.
Well, and I'm just going to interject here because it will be, I know you have a slide on this, but one of the big differences is the cost of a bachelor at Lake Washington Tech versus any of the more traditional four-year universities. It's what the cost at Lake Washington Tech is basically the equivalent of 1 year at UW or Washington State, living on campus, including room and board. But so that's an amazing cost savings.
Yeah, and we have intentionally built all of our bachelor degrees to be called what is a 2+2 program. So you do the associate's degree, so your first 2, and then you apply for / transfer into the bachelor program, right? The reason being, state tuition rates are set by the state. Associate degree costs are one level, bachelor degree costs are another level. So instead of starting students up here, we do the 2+2. So we can save students upwards of about $25,000 by treating it more or less as 2 different programs. Despite the fact that we know somebody's going to do a associate's degree in health sciences and then transfer into the public health bachelor's. So we have done that very intentionally. So if there's any questions about it, that's why. It's a mechanism to help keep tuition rates lower.
Yeah, well, tuition's pretty high so, at a lot of places.
Yes.
So.
Yes. So we've talked about a couple different things here. Let's talk specifically about transfer and a couple of examples of that. So we've got 23 different transfer pathways. That is either what is called a direct transfer agreement, DTA, or MRP. It's Major Ready Program. So those are general transfer degrees where they are built to say, recognized by the state to say this DTA MRP is recognized to prepare students for most transfer pathways, right? It might be fair to call it a more general transfer degree where the expectation is, hey, you could go to UW or WSU or Montana State or Stanford. We actually just had a student transfer to MIT in the Transportation Logistics Supply Chain
Wow.
Management program.
That's
So
exciting.
we thought it was pretty cool. We thought it was pretty cool. So we have students going all over the country, doing all kinds of things here. Guys, I'm very sorry. I see my computer is somehow got unplugged. Let me get that plugged back in here.
You're still
Power.
you're still powered up, Casey. So
Great. Sounds good. So we have students going all over, and the direct transfer agreements are really built to help with that. Then we have a couple programs that are built a little bit more specifically. That is where you'll see things like our Associates in Engineering Transfer. You will see our Associates of Applied Science in Architectural Technology. Those either are built to be fairly specific, to say, hey, we have really built this for a couple of the in-state feeder programs, or we have an actual articulated agreement with another program. So we'll look at engineering here in just a second. I do want to talk about the architectural program, that picture that you see there on the right. The professor holding the model, that is Bob Mandy, has led the program for a better part of 15 years. He worked really hard with WSU's architectural program in Pullman, which is regarded as one of the top architectural programs in the state, if not the entire West Coast. Our students who finish a 2-year degree at LW Tech can transfer directly into WSU's architectural program. So they recognize it. We have an articulated agreement that says, yep, your 2 years at LW Tech automatically cover all of our prerequisites. You're straight in. The benefit to doing that kind of work at a technical college is you tend to be much further along on the technical skills than students who started directly in the university. The reason being, our classes cap at 25 students, so you are getting much more of the hands-on skills-based learning sooner. You are competing with 24 other students and not 524 other students, right? My very first class in college, it was 8 a.m. on a Monday, and it was 536 people. I grew up locally in a little bit more rural town, and I felt incredibly out of place, right? So not to say that those opportunities don't exist at larger schools and at the bigger universities, they're just a lot harder to find, whereas our students can do it a little bit more readily.
And before you go to the next slide, Casey, I just
Sure.
want to interject here. So the whole idea of starting at a technical college or a community college and transferring to a 4-year college can be a really wonderful program for students. I've worked with a number of students who maybe things in high school didn't go as planned and they couldn't get into their 4-year program that they really desired. And it's like you get a fresh start and they're in a smaller environment, hands-on learning. A lot of students do much better in those type of situations. I've had students who didn't do well at a traditional 4-year college. Bad things happened, restarted, retook the classes. And anyways, I just think people don't understand the options that are available through Lake Washington Tech and Bellevue and other colleges. But the whole idea of the transfer agreements is it's worthwhile checking out.
Yeah, and a big part of that is we know how competitive the Pacific Northwest is, and specifically Seattle. We understand all of the issues around rent and mortgages and inflation and all of that, and we're right there with you. So we are trying to create those pathways that can meet students and people where they are to get them the training and the education that they need most immediately, for whatever that is. I really deeply believe that technical colleges, because of that workforce outcome, can actually pivot more quickly than universities. So we can change our curriculum within these 2-year programs to better fit transfer programs, transferring into universities. We can pivot that curriculum to better meet the needs of industry. And I think those two things can coexist really, really neatly within our programs.
Yeah.
So really good example of that is our engineering transfer degree. So we've got 3 different pathways within that. There's the mechanical and electrical engineering, chemical engineering, and then the computer science engineering. So you are taking a lot of those classes that are going to be required within those programs. You know, every engineering program, you're going to have your thermo, you're going to have your material science, you're going to have your physics and your calculus and your dynamics, all of those different things. And we're then able to put in some other classes, right? We can add engineering graphics. You can go take a CNC machining class. You can take some of those things that are going to augment some more of these academic courses, where then you are still ready to transfer into a bachelor's of engineering at a UW, at a WCU, at an Eastern. We've had students go to all those schools and more on our engineering transfer. And so we have built that specifically to target those high need areas in this high need industries within the Seattle area, specifically looking at schools that can do that locally. UW Seattle, UW Bothell, UW Tacoma, WSU Everett. So we look at those specific curriculums and then build towards those.
Question for you, Casey.
Please.
If a student was doing Running Start, is
Mhm.
this option available to them?
Absolutely. Yep.
And I know we'll talk more about Running Start, but okay.
Yeah. So in our last cohort of Intro to Engineering, about half the class was Running Start. So that's a huge opportunity for them.
Yeah, I worked with a student who was doing Running Start, and his whole plan was to transfer, and he did. He got into great colleges.
Awesome.
You know, with what he learned, and he loved it because it was hands-on learning.
Awesome. I love it. Another very similar opportunity. Students who know that they want to transfer. I mentioned that bachelor's in architectural studies at WSU. One thing that we have just launched this year that we're really excited for is a partnership with Western Washington, where they are actually teaching their bachelor's of cybersecurity at LW Tech. So our students can do their 2-year program in computer security and networking, transfer into Western cybersecurity, and you're on the exact same, you're using the same facilities, you're on the same campus. So you don't have to go all the way up to Bellingham, right? You can just continue that in the small classes. It's all through Western, it's Western's professors, it's Western's financial aid, it's Western's advisors. They are just partnering with us on campus. So that's something that will continue to be a trend around the state, I believe. And that's one that we're really excited to have just gotten started actually this past quarter. So
Good.
Okay, Running Start. We talked about that a little bit. A lot of people are familiar with Running Start. That is being co-enrolled at your high school and at your local college, being able to get those college credits. At LW Tech, our tuition is free for Running Start, just like it is at other schools. One thing that we are able to offer in addition is free books, free parking, and free assessment fees. So the only thing that students are responsible for at LW Tech through Running Start is then your course fees and your lab fees, right? So that might be a couple $100 depending on the course and the program. I took an art class for fun last year, and I think I paid all of about $70 for the fees. If somebody's going into something like welding, where you are physically burning through your class materials, those costs can be a little bit higher, but still much more affordable. And we'll look at prices here in a second. So
and most of the classes are typically in person, aren't they, with Lake Washington Tech?
Yes, thank you. Most are typically in person. There are some hybrid portions of the classes, but typically our classes are going to be in person, especially at that Running Start level. Yes, thank you. So slightly different process. I cannot necessarily help students with getting set up for Running Start, but I can help you get connected to the right office and the right folks. There's just some extra things that you have to do working with both your high school counselor and with the Running Start counselors. Excuse me. Students can start any quarter. So that is something, if you're interested, just continue to either connect with us or with your high school counselors, and we're happy to help out with that.
I always remind people when Running Start comes up, remember your number one priority is completing your high school graduation requirements so that you
Yes.
graduate from high school.
Yep. 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 And you're going to meet consistently with your LW Tech advisor and your high school advisor to make sure you are meeting both requirements. So that's of the utmost importance to everybody. Thank you. Okay. So what then you're going to find in all of these classes at the 2-year level, at the 4-year level, at the Running Start level
At the
is
certificate level.
at the certificate level, thank you, is just honestly a different level of support. All of our classes cap at 25 students. A lot of programs then are even less than that. So our culinary program, they are working in a industrial kitchen. Their class caps at closer to 16 to 18. There's just so much happening in there that even 25 students typically is not a safe learning environment with all those materials, right? Welding, we only have so many physical spaces. So even your math classes, even your English classes, those are going to be about 25 students. So if you're somebody who maybe has struggled with some of those in the past, maybe is a little bit apprehensive about those things, you are going to be able to work directly with your professor. You're going to be able to work directly with your colleagues and with your other students. We have free tutoring available on campus, so you're going to be able to find that help that you need. I think I said earlier that I respect math, but I don't necessarily do it, right? I had to take a business calculus class my freshman year at a university, and I really, really was struggling with it. And because it was such a large area and such a large school, I didn't know how to find these resources. So I didn't find tutoring until close to halfway through the semester, at which point I was at tutoring probably 4 nights a week, just trying to pass the class. I was a fairly good student, and I was not trying to get an A, right? I was just trying to pass. And it took everything I could do to find those resources, to utilize those resources. And it wasn't that people didn't want me to find them, right? It's not that they weren't available. I just couldn't find them. The class was big enough that the professor couldn't necessarily recognize that I was struggling, right? And to proactively offer that. That happens at LW Tech. I was taking a human resources class in the middle of pandemic and got to class. I thought homework was due at 11:59 p.m. So class started about 7. I had it done. I just hadn't clicked submit. Turns out homework was actually due at the start of class. And the professor is sending me a message on Teams saying, Casey, are you okay? I didn't see your homework. You didn't turn it in. I said, oh, I just read the timeline wrong. So she reopened everything and let me submit it, no problem. But I tell that story so to illustrate, the professors know you. They didn't know I worked for the college at the time. I was very cautious to not tell anybody I worked there, right? I was just another student in the class. And they recognized my name. They recognized that I hadn't submitted something. They recognized that something was a little bit out of the ordinary. And they reached out to offer that assistance and to see what they could. And I think that's consistent at LW Tech. We get some other fun.
I was just going to say, one of my closest friends, when I met her 15 years ago, was starting a program at Lake Washington Tech, completed it, loved it. So I'd heard all about it while she was going through it. And then she eventually became adjunct faculty.
Yeah.
And hearing her talk about the students and the service, like it's, yeah, everything you're saying, I've heard it too. So.
Yeah, honestly, it's really, really special. Lots of places will say, hey, you're more than a number here. And that I think is exceptionally true at Lake Washington. We are very, very student focused. Lots of us have stories about friends or brothers or relatives or parents who have gone through those programs. And it means a lot to the faculty and to the staff. And I think that really comes through to folks.
Well, I think one of the things that is unique is the idea of the cohort. So if you're in dental hygiene or you're in, cybersecurity, you're with these people pretty much every class, I think, aren't you? You know, like
Yeah.
you're going through it together and you bond with them and you connect with them and you support each other. And yeah, so by the time you graduate, and I know, um, you know, because of the outcomes that, you know, the employment outcomes that are needed, a lot of times it is your alumni that are hiring graduates
Yeah.
and things like that. So
Yep.
yeah, it makes a great community, and community is so important in anything that we do in life. So
Yeah, and that brings up a good point, especially as we're talking about these support services, is I am convinced that the easiest part about college is going to class, and the material, typically, right? I have a friend who just got his master's in physics, and I wouldn't necessarily call that easy. I think for the majority of folks, the hardest part about going to college, especially younger students straight out, is to learn how to be an advocate for yourself,
mm,
learning how to ask for help, learning how to recognize resources that are going to be a benefit to you, and then utilizing those.
mhm.
Um, and I think that can be easier or more difficult at different institutions.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that LW Tech does exceedingly well, because of those small class sizes, because of our different services. TRIO is a major federal program that is for first generation students to college. So parents or guardians don't have a bachelor's degree. For low income students or students with a documented disability, we have a full disability support services office. We've got an extensive English language learner program at the campus. So I really do believe that LW Tech is really focused on that community aspect of community and technical college.
What about the career services? I want to make sure we don't skip
Yeah,
that.
yeah, absolutely. So career services can help students with everything from exploration, even pre-college, to you're graduating and looking for the job. So every first and third Thursday of the month, they do something called a career choice workshop, where they are actually sitting down with small groups of people and saying, "Hey, do you have any idea what you want to do? No? Great. Let's help you out with that." That can even be pre-application to even help people determine what kind of job do you want. Okay, let's work backwards then to what kind of program would help fit that goal.
So Casey, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Oh.
that's available to the community, isn't it?
Yes. Yep.
You don't have to be a Lake
Do
Washington
not.
Tech student.
Correct.
So any of you who are out there like, I don't know what I want to do, it's a great service.
Yep.
That I remember that from a few years ago.
Yep. Yep. And it's very well utilized. And I would say most of the people who go to the career choice workshop don't end up being students, and that's great. And a lot of them do end up being students because they realize, oh, I want to be a I don't know, let's pick something. I want to be the manager of Flower World out in Maltby, right? And they realize that to get that kind of role, it's, oh, I need to have a environmental horticulture degree, or should have a pretty good understanding of what environmental horticulture is. Or maybe it's, oh, hey, I want to be a manager of something, of a small business. I should look at getting an entrepreneurship degree, something like that. So the goal of the career choice workshop is not to recruit students to the college. It is to help inform people what they need to achieve their goals. And sometimes the college can help with that, and a lot of times the college can help with that, and sometimes we can't, and that's okay too. So
Yeah, great.
on
Thanks.
the tail end of things, yeah, they will actually go into classes. They will help students with their resume. We have a whole online job board called Hire Lions. It's an LW Tech internal version of a Indeed, right?
Okay.
So local employers are actually posting jobs specifically for LW Tech students and alumni. That is open to current students. That's open to alumni of the college. That's a tool specifically for LW Tech Lions. And what I love about it is that that's our proof that the
Mhm.
local industry know that our students do good work, because
Mhm.
they are actively reaching in and trying to recruit them.
Awesome.
Yep. Yep. So we can say a lot of things about the college. And what do the students say about it? I think that's really the big part of that. So we have a couple messages from students who are recent grads, just graduated last year. So let's see what they have to say.
I found out about LW Tech because I wanted more technical skills and I wanted to be more marketable. The user-centered design program was only offered here. It wasn't offered at other colleges.
I found out about the game design program that we have here at LW Tech. And I've been here ever since. I'm very glad that I managed to find it.
It was very much a community environment. We all developed friendships really quick, which was kind of surprising. I've had the most fun being involved in the East Mall and the cafeteria area because that's where most students congregate and everybody goes there to get snacks and eat lunch.
Because I work with student programs, we do a lot of things for students. I really enjoy just seeing people showing up and interact with us because I get the sense of community.
We had a ASG Day event where every single one of us ended up getting pied in the face with whipped cream. And every time I go home, I'm like, dang, I really like my job. I wish I could work here forever.
It has been very amazing, to be honest, because I didn't think that I would be able to study game design and pay for it.
My experience at LW Tech helped me become more adaptive and just having fun while also knowing that I'm working towards my goals.
Going to LW Tech has been one of the best decisions I've ever made. I've also made a lot of great friends here.
And I think that's a common experience for our students is loving the work and loving the community around it. I know that's something that's really important to, I've said that that's important to staff and faculty. I think that's equally as important to students, right? People are going into these programs specifically because they want to be a game designer, because they want to be a nurse, because they want to be a machinist, whatever that is. So from day one, you're surrounded by people who have the same interests as you and who have the same goals as you. And I think that that's really reflected in the way that our students, staff, and faculty all interact. So let's change gears and talk about everybody's favorite part about school. And this actually is one of my favorite conversations around school. I think that this is very, very unique to community colleges and a really good option for folks. So you can see there, pulled just a handful of different fields to give people an idea. Typically, I want to look at, let's say that third column in our tuition there, that is going to float in between about $10,000 and $15,000, depending on the program that you're looking at. The average associate's degree at LW Tech can be finished for about $14,500. So between our 41, we're looking at about 14 and a half. Some programs are going to change a little bit. So you'll see auto repair, books and supplies are a little bit more expensive. In certain programs, you are going to industry, so you are buying your tools going into things, right? So things like auto repair, things like diesel and heavy equipment, tool sets are fairly expensive. Fun fact, pound for pound, the most expensive tools on campus are dental hygiene tools, those little picks and scrapers. Very, very expensive. I was pretty stunned when I learned how much those costed. So you'll see that total program cost to finish. These are typically for associate degree. There's a couple bachelor degrees in here. So you'll see digital gaming. Tuition rates for the bachelor level courses, so your 300, 400, more or less your junior and senior year classes, those tuitions a little bit more expensive. So a bachelor's in digital gaming will cost about that $20,000 on top of the then $14,000 for the associate's degree. So to put this in context, I don't want to say, hey, oh, it's so affordable and it's so cheap. That's a lot of money, right? To help put that in context, the average cost for freshman year at the 6 public universities this year is about $26,000. Okay, so students can finish their associate's degree, about that $15,000, right? That associate's degree is $10,000 less than freshman year at UW, WSU, Western, Central, wherever. It's just a huge difference. We do a lot of work with DigiPen, very good friends of ours down there. Just found out yesterday their tuition this year, $38,000, just tuition, right? So it's a significant difference, and they are a phenomenal program, right? An excellent resource. Students get just a phenomenal level of education, and our students are going to the same trade shows. They are still producing video games that they're putting on Steam. They own the rights to their games, right? So they have all of these great resources at a fraction of the cost, which is a significant, I think, benefit to accessibility, to equity, and something that we're really proud of that we're able to support our students with.
Hey, Casey, just real quick, because I realized we didn't really talk about this earlier, but so let's name a couple things that Lake Washington Tech doesn't have.
Yes,
like there's
sure.
no football team.
Yep.
There's no Greek life, but those things all cost money too. So,
They do. Yeah. And that's a very valid point. We don't have housing. We don't have some of those things that
well,
are
there's tons of
considered-
apartments near Lake
There are.
They're surrounded by apartment buildings.
Yes. We do not have university and or college owned housing, right? So there are aspects of the student experience that if students are looking for some of those things that you might find at a university, we don't have.
Right.
As a technical workforce college focused college, that's not necessarily within the same mission, right? And a lot of our students, that's half the reason they choose LW Tech, is to get there, get the really specific training. What we do have on the side of student clubs is things that really focus on industry. So gaming, for example, typically their classes are going to be Monday through Thursday. Friday, especially pre-pandemic, was all game dev club. So they'd have class, and then they're spending a day a week working on the games that they're building for PAX or for another big trade show or expo. Our auto program does a lot of work with the different Audi dealerships. So it's not necessarily that, we don't have different student experiences. They're just different.
Right. Yeah.
So it just depends on what students are looking for. I really valued a lot of those student experiences that I had at the university that I wouldn't necessarily have found at the technical college. And there would have been a lot of opportunities that, now looking back several years later, I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I had access to an innovation lab. I wish I had access to the machine shop, to all these different kind of things. So it really is about, going back to the whole title of everything is finding your fit. And what is it that is most important to you? What is going to get you closer to your goals, and to get that skill set and that knowledge base that you're looking for? So
and one of the things, is, again, there's just so many paths after high school. And just recently in the news again, I saw the graph that shows the difference between high school and a four-year degree. And it's accurate, except most people do something beyond high school, whether it's a certificate program or an associate program or a four-year, or a collection of things. And those skills that they learn get them above the minimum wage and all that. So
yes.
I don't like it when it sounds like 4 years at a minimum, degree, or else you can't be successful in life. That is not true. So.
Yep. Yeah, I think it all comes down to, do you have marketable skill sets? And there are lots of 2-year and or 4-year programs that can get you those skill sets. It's just a matter of which one are you most interested in.
Yeah.
Lots of ways to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I do see we only have about 5 minutes left, so I want to make sure we can talk about a couple more things. LW Tech, we do offer the FAFSA free application for federal student aid. We do have WASFA, which is the state equivalent of that. It has fewer federal requirements, so more people can qualify. So people who are Dreamer status, DACA eligible, that kind of thing, can still get state financial aid. As a community college, our mission is to serve the community, ever and whatever that looks like. So that's really important to us. We also have the LW Tech Foundation. So that is an arm associated with the college. Technically, they are their own organization. All they do is raise money for scholarships and give it away. So this past year, they made several $100,000 for scholarships. We only have about 3,800 students at the college. So that's a lot of money for not a huge number of students on campus. So a lot of accessibility to scholarships. One thing I want to really, really hammer on for students, Washington State ranks as the third best financial aid packages available in the country. It is very, very, very highly regarded. Excellent financial aid packages. We also rank 48th in the country as far as people actually applying for financial aid. I don't know why that is. There are some justifications and some ideas. None of them make sense to me. So please, please, please hear it from me. Any college rep that you talk to will tell you there's a major misconception around people thinking, oh, I'm not going to qualify, so I'm not going to apply anyways. Washington State has a phenomenal financial aid option. Please, please, please apply, whether you think you're going to qualify or not. Financial aid went through some pretty major changes this year, launched in December. I'm sure many of you, especially, yeah, it's been a bit of a headache, admittedly, and the outcome is still worth it. So please absolutely connect with your colleges, connect with college financial aid teams. There's a lot of different workshops in the area. So please don't think, oh, I'm not going to get anything, so I'm not going to bother. There's a major, major gap in the state trying to provide funding. So know that there can be an option for you, whether that's financial aid or whether that is in-house scholarships that are campus specific. As you're going through that, as we start to wrap up here, applying to the community colleges is super easy. It's a free application. You click submit. 3 to 5 days later, you get your welcome letter. That's it. We don't have any minimum GPAs. We don't have any fees. We don't need SAT or ACT scores. All we need is you raising your hand saying, I want to go to college. Our response is, great, let's figure out where to start. So you'll apply. We do need to do a math and English placement. That is never a matter of if you can start, it's just a matter of where. So we're deciding, are we starting in English 101? Are we starting in English 93? Are you starting in calculus, or are you going to join Casey in math 87, right? So that's all we're trying to figure out here. You can find more information there at lwtech.edu/get-started. You can also connect with our admission coach. So that's somebody who can actually sit down, do the application with you, make sure that that gets submitted. If you have any questions about that, I did 3 of them with people today. So super, super easy. Takes all of about 10 minutes. So we're happy to help with that. Please come to our open house. That is going to be Thursday, April 25th from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock. This is a very small portion of it that you can see here. Every single program, I'm sorry guys, I don't know where this timing things changing is coming from. All 41 of our programs have a table and are doing live demos and tours of their programs. So you can see literally all of campus and every single option in one place, in one night, ready to go. Myself and my team are the ones who plan this event, so please come say hi to us. We will be the ones running around trying to make sure that everything is going smoothly. So please do say hi.
Yeah, I'll make sure to promote it through the foundation too. So good.
Wonderful. Thank you. If you do want to sign up for that, you can scan the QR code there in the middle or there in the corner and get some more information and register for reminders.
Great.
So I want to say thank you. My contact information is here. If anybody does have any questions, I'd love to connect. Our offices are open Monday through Thursday in person. We are available virtually on Friday. So if anybody has questions, my team and I are available and help out are available to help out.
Well, thank you, Casey. And if you'd like to learn more about traditional four-year colleges, next week I am doing a College 101. You sign up like you did for this one. There is a $10 charge per family, but no Ask scholarships are available. And then last slide there, if you don't mind, Casey.
Yes, yep, that's right. Thank you.
You know, I'm always proud to be associated with the Lake Washington Schools Foundation. The foundation does so many wonderful things within the community with their programs, and they're a nonprofit, and they depend on donations in order to run all the programs that they do. So their spring luncheon, the spring fundraiser, is going to be on March 28th at the Redmond Marriott from 11:30 to 1. Sign up. I'll be there. Love talking to people. Or if you can't be there and just want to make a small donation, it would be appreciated. So looks like we might have a question here. Very exciting. Let me pull it up. So someone's saying, Casey, do you have 100% acceptance rate? Yes, you do.
Yes, we do.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
We do for the college in general. So I should clarify, on some of the bachelor programs, some of those are selective admissions. So things like nursing, things like dental hygiene, physical therapy assistant, occupational therapy assistant. So there is a separate application process for that, but that is going to be post-college enrollment. There will be some college prerequisites. So to get into LW Tech proper, yes, 100% acceptance rate. Bachelor programs, we will work with you once you're a student and going through your prerequisite classes. Thank you. Good question.
Yep. Let's see. Any other questions? All right. Well, Casey, thank you for joining me tonight. It was very informative. I'll send you a copy of the recording if you'd like it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this will be sent out. It usually takes about a week before we send them out, but don't hesitate to reach out to Casey or to myself, and everybody have a good evening. Have a good night, Casey. Thank you.
Thank you as well. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.